really need to work on your positions and so that hopefully they're not quite as wrong. You know what I mean?
I'm just failing to see, man. I gotta tell you,
Hmm. Well,
it's
let's talk about shitty position one, right? The fact that you think trainers are no good is problem. By the way, we're live, so you know. The fact that you think trainers are bad is problematic.
so. Did you want me to go first, or do you want to just? Am I?
No, you
Am
can
I
go
gonna
ahead
take?
and have a soliloquy there, bud. A little
Do
monologue.
you got your base? Yeah, you're coming out with a baseball bat. I'm coming out with my fists. I'm not prepared for the
You know,
fight.
well, that was definitely part of it, but I also thought it'd be funny as fuck. So, you know, but
Oh,
also
so
I prefer to be passive aggressive. So you go ahead and go first. You know,
okay, so I'm being poisoned. Okay, so
yeah, you know,
my
go ahead. You can go first.
I never fully hated trainers, but it's become problematic in recent times, in my opinion. So one of the biggest gripes I've kind of had is there's to me this push for trainers to be like almost the forefront of the community, and even in groups. So I purposely try and shelter myself in groups that are really about flipping a live blade, and even in those groups there's like infiltrators that are like, but we want to post trainer content, and I'm like, one of the rules of this group, this is a Facebook group, is no toys allowed. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm willing to put a trainer in the toy category. It's not functional as a knife. It's just not happening. And really, your only use is recreational. So, I mean, it's kind of like a glorified yo-yo, glorified pen spinning. I don't know how else to enter this topic except by just laying that out on the table as the problem, where people are seeing it as more than a toy, and it's kind of detracting it from actual live blade flipping. And in these groups where live blade flipping is the focus, it gets really frustrating to kind of go back and forth about, well, trainer content is just as good as live blade and it's just as difficult and it's all equal. And there's these two sides where I'm on the side of, no, it's not. Get this out of here. We don't want it in the group. Like, do that on your own time. Don't post it in the group.
Right. Okay. So, um, I would say like I don't know that I would agree that it's a toy, although I understand why you're saying that. But like, and I also understand why they're saying that it's all equal, but I think that they know why it's not really equal, right? I mean, like, let's say that you have a trainer and a live blade that are identically balanced, right? Then if you're, let's say you just do a Zen rollover with your eyes closed, right? If you can do it perfectly fine on the trainer and you don't know when you're actually flipping the live blade, it's probably going to go perfectly fine on the live blade. But the problem is people do know when they're flipping a live blade. And so they get nervous, and that's going to impact all sorts of stuff, right? Would you
Oh,
agree?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
it'll definitely impact it. I mean, it's almost one of those cases where if you were to demonstrate it, it'd probably make it even worse. Like if you were to demonstrate in front of the person that, oh yes, it is actually pretty sharp. I feel like if you put that knife in their hand, it'd almost be like either they got to commit and hope they land it and hope they can overcome the psychological barrier, or they just got to say, you know what, I'm good, man. No, my hand's sprained today. I don't know what happened.
yeah, I had to look, my homepage was, well, that one website, and things just got out of hand. Okay, one thing led to another, and yeah,
Yeah, one
so
4K HD thing came up, and
VR.
that's
Oh Christ, but yeah, um, so I don't know, but like I definitely kind of feel like it's not fair, in my opinion, to completely detach trainer flipping and live blade flipping. Like, I don't think it's fair to act like it's a completely different hobby because it's not. It's just people are essentially participating in this hobby without the risk.
I don't know, like maybe this analogy is not going to stick, but I almost feel like it's the difference between playing Need for Speed and then going out there in the real world and just racing an actual car uh,
Yeah, no,
on the
it didn't
streets. It
stick.
just didn't stick. But I mean, on one hand, you crash a car in the video game and you don't die. On the other hand, you crash a car in real life, head first into a wall, and you do in fact die.
Right,
It's
but the
just
thing is, and the reason why I don't think that analogy is fair is it's a lot different to be driving a car in a video game compared to real life. If you were driving in some kind of like perfectly real simulator, there was just no risk when you crashed. The skill set is the same. It is the same, right? It's just that one person applying the skill set has risk and the other one doesn't. But you can't, it's not like they're using different muscles or something, right?
no, but okay. So here's even another example, and this one's probably you're probably gonna find some kind of flaw in it, perhaps some bird in the
I'll
engine.
get triggered somehow.
Oh yes, the was it Sullenberger? I don't know how to pronounce his
Sully
name.
Sullenberger.
Sully something. That movie where they're going through the like the decisions that the pilot made to land the plane in the river as opposed to trying to go for the nearest landing strip, and they get these other pilots who run through the simulation, get the same situation, and they're miraculously able to land it on the strip instead of going into the river. But then you go and take the actual dangerous situation where there's actual consequences, and it's not going on the landing strip, it's going into the river.
I mean, I guess, like, but that's kind of the point of the simulators, and that's why they put them in there, is more like, how would these people handle it? The reality is, like, it's, they're not completely unaware. Like, they're gonna know, even if you try to do some kind of blind test, they're gonna know exactly what they're being tested on, right? Like, that was such a well-known thing. But I just don't feel like, I don't know. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but like, it would be like saying that one person is flying the plane for real and the other one doesn't actually know how to fly a plane. And that's just not true. The reality is, you could take somebody who's only flown a flight simulator and they would probably be able to fly a real plane well enough to not crash it, right? Assuming that they've got enough, assuming they don't crash in the simulator regularly, right? But it's like,
Let's just get them out there in the field.
right. So I don't know. I really
Which no,
feel
but
that.
that's a good point though. That's a good point though, and I want to really drive this point home. If the person that's doing those flight simulations is clearly showing that they have no aptitude for it and they're crashing regularly, you kind of look at it and say, I don't even want to see them try the real thing. And
Right,
to
it's
me,
obvious why they're not flying a real plane.
exactly. And to me, it's almost like with the trainer where I mean, I've watched a lot of videos where people are it looks like they're pulling off some incredible stuff. And when you do the slow motion, you see hit on the blade, hit on the blade, hit on the blade. And it's not just like love taps, it's like serious hits that would kind of fuck you up a bit if it actually hit you like that. And they just post a video and everything's hunky dory, and I'm like, no, if you transfer to a live blade, just no. Like, why are we trying to pretend that this is acceptable flipping when we both know it's not? Because if it were, you would do it. It's almost like to
They
me.
don't necessarily know, though. That's the thing.
Well, then
They may
that
not have a live blade. Like, they may not be, maybe they're a kid and they aren't allowed one. And they may not even realize that they would have been getting cut, which is why it's a bad idea to start on only using a trainer, in my opinion.
well, because then it just gets you into the mindset of if you're busting out these wild combos, and then all of a sudden someone puts a live blade in front of you and says, "Go ahead and show me the same thing." I mean, you're kind of playing with fire there because you've never actually been cut and you don't know the severity levels to it. So you might just go for a trick that on a trainer, it's like, oh, well, maybe it's just going to pinch a little if I kind of like let the handle, I don't know, hit my hand weird um, and end up with a giant gash, which would be very unfortunate. But But then it kind of begs the question where if it's better to just start someone off out on a live blade, why introduce the trainer? So and I do have some trainers that I do have with me, but in a lot of cases, I found that you can just tape the blade up and practice until you kind of get comfortable with what you're doing. Now, does that mean that's a end all be all? Like, oh, well, you'll just always have to be stuck to taping your blade. There's no use of a trainer. No, but I guess to me, skill wise, like to really prove that you are capable and knowledgeable of doing tricks, you really want to make that step to the live blade. Like, and it kind of goes back to the point I made earlier. Do the trainer stuff in the privacy of your own practice. So you want to try and develop a combo, you want to do a trick, you want to get really good at it. That's fine. If you want to use a trainer, do it. Go ahead and do it. But like, I'm not interested in seeing it. Like, I really, it's the equivalent of like when people post gender reveals online. I'm like, I don't care. I don't want to see it. Like, just tell me if it's a boy or a girl. I don't need to see this fanfare of like, I really don't care.
I will say
Um,
it seems to me, and I mean this genuinely, not like a joke, okay? It seems to me that, like, to some extent, like the fact that you're saying, like, I don't even want to see it, it's to me, there's like almost an emotional reaction from you. Like, you really just, it's like you're fed up with it kind of thing. That's what I get it's not like, it seems to me like part of this is a reaction to you being annoyed or something to that effect in the past so much. Because to me, it's like, there are things I was trying to think of like a good example, but there are things where I'm the exact same way, right? Like I just don't, please just like don't fucking bring that up to me or something. Like I can be the same way, but to me that seems to be partially what you're reacting to, in my opinion.
I think a bit, and probably the main reason for it, and the main reason why it's offensive when people kind of get frustrated, where in these groups, if you kind of like lay down the rules and say, no, we're gonna remove the post. Like, if there's a trainer post, we're gonna remove it. The reason why I get so frustrated when people are like, oh, why would you do that? Like, oh, I don't understand. Um, is because so often I've seen that trainer content just do as well, if not better in a lot of cases, than the actual live blade stuff. Um,
So your frustration is more so with people not appreciating the difference.
I don't know if, and it kind of goes to that point where I'm not sure if a lot of people even understand the difference. And part of it is I'm not even sure they care. But the thing with that is I care, and me and other people do care, and we've kind of created these spaces where that live blade content can be appreciated, and it almost feels like a hostile takeover of the community from my perspective, where you just have this wave of new people saying, "Well, we want to see this content too," and it's like, we don't, we do not. Why?
Well, then that's why, in my opinion, what you need to do, um, in your group, frankly, is if they're posting content that you don't consider to be part of, I don't know, the mission of the group, like the purpose of the group, just ban them. In my opinion, like I don't know why you would waste your time arguing with them. Just ban them, and if they keep messaging you, then just block them. Like, that's what I would do. Like, if you want a live blade only community, then you need to enforce it to an extent where people don't even try to post trainer stuff because they know that they're going to just be banned immediately. Like, I feel like it's
Oh
bad
yeah,
management.
no, a little bit, but part of it is kind of a little bit of a lackadaisical. What's it called? I guess you could chalk it up to that. I mean, none of the no one, none. How do I word this? No admin is being paid to actually do any of this, like, monitoring of the group. So I understand that it's people's free time, really trying to create a good space. But I do agree with you in the tolerance level probably should be a little bit lower. Where I mean, and I guess maybe I kind of framed the original topic of this conversation wrong. I think trainers can have a place. It's just they cannot have a place in legitimate, true flipping, and that probably sounds a bit pretentious and a bit like, wow, that's you really, really are sniffing your own farts over there, huh? But if you actually want to be doing the highest level of flipping, you're going to be doing it live. You're not going to be doing it on a trainer because everyone in the room is aware of the fact that doing it on the live blade carries more risk and it carries a higher requirement for skill. Your skill cap is going to have to be way higher than if it were on a trainer.
Yeah, but in my opinion, I feel like what you're upset about is something that's never going to change, because the problem is people are insecure and they want to feel like they're just as good as somebody else. And so they will believe their own rationalization that, well, it's the exact same skill, right? And they're it's, in my opinion, a disingenuous argument that they're kind of like buying into, and they know that, but there's no way to stop people from doing that. Like, that's just how people are. Like, it's why you have people who, I don't know, you find the same kind of shit in machining circles somewhat, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of like and actually when we have our next guest on, which we will have to announce in our on our pages, but one of the kind of perspectives I'm interested from getting from him is his feeling, because he's been around a fair bit longer than I have, quite a fair bit longer. Is just kind of getting that perspective, that additional perspective of, is this a takeover? Has this always been a thing? Because like my one thing that I think a lot of people forget is there weren't that many trainer options prior to I would really say Squid really like popularized trainers, and he's done good things. I do want to clarify that, and I think I'm just gonna call it the Kraken because my brain can't handle Crack Raken or whatever it is. It's the Kraken. It was originally supposed to be called that. I'm going with it. So he's done some good things in terms of live blades, and those have flown off the shelves. But he really did popularize trainers, and that was around, I want to say it was where it really hit off was like 2017, probably 2018 if I'm being a little conservative there. But
No
before that,
conservative shit allowed. Sorry.
oh no, um, but I think prior to that, really, what were your options? The 6X series trainer, the like,
Yeah,
what?
there were some cheap Chinese, like stainless steel handled, um, like pin construction ones.
Yeah, it was pin construction. And I think, I mean, I know there was the 4X trainer.
Did you know that cheap trainer that's almost like it's cut out of borderline sheet metal, and it's used in combs and also, but it's the same exact handle design. Do you know what I'm
Oh yeah,
talking about? That one that's
it's
really thin.
yeah. I think so.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I might have had it at one point.
yeah, I had multiple.
um, but I guess the point that I was really trying to make there is your options were very limited prior to, I would say, Squid, because I mean, I think Balio was around at the time, but it's a pen. It's not really
Shankles
doing
did
it.
some stuff.
He did, but I mean, his time was so brief that it didn't really. It's not like, but even still, I don't think he was like I don't think he came even before like 2016. I mean, maybe he was doing some small stuff, but I don't think he really got on people's radar until around then, maybe
Well, he started on
2015.
Reddit. He started on Reddit making 3D printed handles
Was that
or
before
trainers.
2015 or?
I'm not sure. It was sometime around then.
But
I
even
can
then,
ask
so
him if it
yeah,
matters.
it's
Okay.
not a huge deal. But I mean, if you even say 2015, what are your options? Maybe Shankle Song, maybe 4XT if you can find it, a 6XT if you really have no other options. Um, there wasn't a lot to choose from. I mean, and then you had your CCCs, but that's going to break on you. The balance is probably not going to be optimal. The materials are going to kind of be trash. I almost feel like a big part of why some of the older people from 2015 and prior, and I wasn't really a part of that time period because I didn't start until 2015, but I was joining the community, the flipping community, when all they really knew was live blades. And so I feel like a lot of their feelings are based on the fact that their world consisted mostly of live blades. There was probably people taping their blades to practice. There was probably some CCCs, but aside from that, I mean, if you were to look to some of the top people and like name top people, they were going to be flipping a live blade. Now, I don't fully know what people's perceptions are in terms of who's top dogs, but I wouldn't be surprised if people like just threw out someone flipping a trainer in like a top 10. It would not shock me if that happened.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
but I don't know. I feel like you need to make a distinction between like the problems associated with like people themselves and trainers and the actual trainers like using trainers, because the way that I viewed this topic, and I think both of them are good to talk about, but my first like interpretation of the title was like, what are live blades good for and what are trainer blades good for? And I don't think like I don't think that using a trainer blade is somehow inherently like evil. You know what I mean?
oh no, that's silly. That's that is silly. Um, it has that's what, but that's kind of where I've ended up at it is it has its uses. My preference is you use it as a training tool. It's like you
Yeah,
practice,
but
practice, practice.
it's like the I guess the thing is, the problem that it seems you have is not so much with the person flipping the trainer themselves. Like if they want to just post videos of them flipping their trainer, fine, but like are you wanting them to include like a 3-paragraph disclaimer on all of their posts about why they're not as good as a live blade flipper? Like I just feel like there's not really a way for them to do that. Like they're just posting videos of themselves flipping, you know what I mean?
Well, of course. So, like on a platform like Instagram, you really can't do too much about it. If someone decides to use the Battle Song hashtag, it's going to show up there regardless of whether or not you want to see it. I suppose if you really wanted to get pretty militant about it, you could just start blocking anyone that uses trainers. I don't think that's a really good solution. That's kind of why I think the Facebook groups have taken off a bit more in popularity as of late, because you are able to kind of police the content. And when I say you, I mean the admins, but the admins are able to police and say, oh, well, if someone's posting that type of content, and and they can get rid of it. If someone starts having problems with it, they can just get rid of the person. Um,
I think the
so
solution is you need to look, if you want to see people flipping live blades, like if that's what impresses you, then you need an area that's set aside for that, and you should post exclusively to that. Don't post in areas where people with trainers are posting. That way people have to choose. Do they want to watch people with trainers or do they want to watch people flipping live blades? And if they want to watch people flipping live blades and if they want to have their videos there, they're going to have to flip live blades. Like I feel like that's the only way around this.
that's an interesting solution. And that's actually an interesting one to kind of consider a bit more. Um,
I don't
the
know that it would
only
work for sure, but that to me seems like, I don't know. I just don't know how else you would like solve it. You have to make people want to post live blade flipping.
which that's yeah, that's a whole huge. I don't even know how to undertake that other than but well, I mean, other than kind of having the cool kids club where people flip live blades, where if it's almost like this group where there's this standard where it's just the standard is everyone's flipping live blades or you're not posting content, it kind of creates a demand for people to say, well, why is this held at a different, why is this group exclusive? What's it excluding? Do I even care? And part of it is, well, maybe you do care because let's say not only will like within the group like you'll be kind of recognized, but even in a more like visceral way, companies that are actually making these battle songs, like the Live Blade battle songs, they're gonna want to be they're gonna want to see their product being circulated in that group. And so perhaps they would host competitions, perhaps they would contribute to competitions where if live blade flipping is the focus, I mean, ultimately it is a knife. So, you want to see that knife either be used functionally or be flipped. Um, and kind of that can create the demand in some way, I would imagine, where if you're making live blades, do you really care about that going over in a trainer group? Oh, cool, live blade. So I'll just keep flipping my. I don't know. I mean, I like Squid Industry, so I don't want to bash on them, but like I'm just gonna keep flipping my Squiddy. Like, okay, cool. They're nice live blade battle song. Okay, bye.
Well, I think also you need to be careful because in this community, there tend to be a lot of people who I don't know if it's insecurity or what the deal is, but they want to be part of the cool kids club and they specifically make an effort to prevent anybody else from getting in the group. So if you wanted to like nurture that part of the community, like live blade flipping, you would need the only requirement to be a part of that group be that you flip live blades. Like you can't have an in group and out group that's not based on that. Otherwise, you're just creating another pretentious group, which is why I never join any of these groups.
Oh,
So
you're missing out on battle song memes. No.
well, I've just been treated like shit in a lot of places, and I don't really have the patience for it. Like, it's like, and I'm not going to name anybody specifically because I know you're friends with some of them, but like, I don't know if I'm on Facebook or something and some admin is like deleting my posts despite the fact that I'm not breaking any rules. I'm just going to leave. Like, I'm not going to fight with them about it. It's like if they don't want me there, I'll just leave. I don't care. So I don't know.
Well, that's an interesting point because part of that backlash that I've seen happen in the groups is towards the admins. And sometimes I will say sometimes admins do make bad calls. I'm not gonna
These were
sugarcoat it.
bad calls.
Yeah, but I mean, oftentimes they do make good calls, and sometimes people get very upset about that. And I'm like, well, the group might not be for you, and it's not to kind of say like you can't be here, but if you're kind of at odds with what the group wants, just find a different group. Like I don't know.
Well, what the thing is in this case, I know that there are a lot of people in that group who they probably have no idea even that the admins were giving me shit, but I know that they want my content there, right? And so that's why I feel like you have this difference between the actual people in the group and the people running the group. And the people running the group, they just want to call the shots. Like they view it as they're arrogant in my opinion. I'm sorry, but they just are. And so I think that causes problems. And you find this in like seemingly any group that you have, at least in the Balisong community. And it's why Instagram seems to do well. It's because there's nobody there that's setting the rules. It's like people flip out when I use the hashtag Balisong sale hashtag. And it's primarily people from Reddit. And they're like, dude, I literally have these people on Reddit telling me that I'm not allowed to use that. Like they literally are telling me that I don't have permission to do it. I mean, that's ludicrous. And so I use it on every single post now because fuck them. I don't care. Actually, I do. I want to piss them off because I'm an asshole. But that's why Instagram does well is you don't have somebody that's sitting there bossing everybody around.
I mean, it's a good way for someone to establish their own name with having to rely on pre-established groups and kind of trying to deal with that because sometimes a hierarchy does form and it's a good way to not have to deal with that. As far as trainers versus live blades, I mean, I don't think it affects it as much. I would probably say the bigger effect is like from a self brand. Like if you really want to have a self brand, Instagram's probably going to be the way to go. If you just care about, I guess, being in a group that has certain goals for content, you're probably going to want to go with Facebook. Because with trainers and live blades, I mean, to me, Trainer Central is our battle song. If you want to be looking at trainers all day, that's where you're gonna go.
Or clones.
Or oh god, I don't know why the law was never really laid down there. I understand the inclusivity aspect, but some of it goes beyond inclusivity where
Well, it's
I
simple, man. Like if you want to be in charge of a lot of people, then you can do something like that. You can lower the standards necessary to be a part of your club, and now you're still the boss of a big club. It might not be considered as cool as the other clubs, but you're still running a big club. I don't know. Yvonne, the frankly, the problem that they have is the what's in the picture. The exact handle set in the picture is not what's for sale, right? The handles themselves, like you can go on my website and buy them and customize them, and then you can get exactly that. And so they're basically trying to say that, well, whatever's exactly in the picture has to be being sold. And the reality is, well, it kind of is, because if you're not an idiot and you know how to use a basic website, you can buy what's exactly in the picture. You know what I mean? And so I personally just don't really, I just don't give a shit if they don't want me using it, I guess. I don't know.
not sure if I was following fully there. So
Like,
you're
okay,
saying
if I take, so you know how I made you those green bead blasted ripple set of rep handles?
yeah.
Let's say I take a picture of that and I post that on Battle Song Sale, right? While
Yep.
that's actually kind of a bad example because I don't sell, I don't think I sell bead blast with pattern. Like people, they would be upset that even though hypothetically they would go on my website and buy a bead blast set of rep handles with the ripple pattern on it and anodize them the exact same green, they're upset because, well, it's not your set. It's just a set that's identical to it, right? Do you see what I'm saying? Like they're essentially trying to say that the exact thing, like if I post a picture of yours, I have to be selling exact, like you no longer have them, right? Like when they're sold, you no longer have a set. Do you see what I'm saying? Like the physical thing in the picture has to be, I don't know, does that make any sense?
So how does this tie into the clone aspect?
It doesn't. I was just answering a question in the chat
Oh.
because I was asked why I wasn't allowed to use the hashtag.
Oh, okay. Sorry, because I was like, I thought you were going off my point. I'm like,
Oh,
where does
sorry.
the conclusion go? How does this measure up?
Yeah, sorry.
No, that makes a bit more sense now. So, okay. I mean, that is kind of interesting. Wow.
Yeah, well, but that's my point is like the problem that you have, and we had, I don't know that I want to go into too much detail on this because I don't know that I want to give anybody else the idea, but we had talked about doing certain things to essentially give people a place to congregate and post videos and stuff, right? And to have a set of rules that we enforce, but also to not sit there and fucking play this are you in the cult or not bullshit, right? Because that is what I find in almost every quote community in the Battle Song sort of overarching community is you have people who they're the cool kids, you need their approval, and if they don't think your flipping is good, then you suck and you better get good, right?
Facts.
So
Big facts.
yeah, I don't know.
No,
Do you
I
go on?
I
Sorry.
think I think from an individual level, you have to decide on your own whose approval you want and why you want it. There were certainly different people in the community that I cared more about having approval from than others. It doesn't mean that. I mean, I will say one thing that kind of does stick is typically I think it kind of is a how many years you've been around type of deal, where from what I've seen, people do drop off, but the ones that stick around typically start going towards that. I mean, I guess if you really, we can call it a cult-ish group. Typically, those people that have been around longer do start to veer towards that. The ones that I've seen that don't, like examples of people who have been around for a while but don't fall into that category, are people like a
You better
cutlery
not
lover.
name anybody that I've told you that I hate.
No, this is like a cutlery lover. Jeff, I think, is his full YouTube name, where he's posted a lot of battle song content. He has been involved in forums every now and then. But I don't think he cares if the flipping community wants anything to do with him. I don't think he's looking for anyone's approval from the flipping community.
I
He's just
agree.
like, I like battle songs. That's the end of the story. Sometimes I'll flip them, maybe. So you really have to and he's successful though. Like that's a point to clarify. He is successful in what he's doing. Um, so I guess if you're gonna go into it, and if you're gonna be like, well, what group do I choose? Where do I post? Who do I speak with? Just decide who you would like to have relationships with. Sometimes you might be cut off from certain relationships, but sometimes you might be able to find a way to finagle it. It's kind of one of those things where just up front decide if it's even worth it. Like decide if that relationship is worth having. Sometimes it's better to appreciate from afar. So like let's say, there's some flipper that you're like, oh wow, they've made great content, but like I know our views are opposed to each other quite extensively. Hey, look, you can enjoy their content, you can do your thing. It doesn't need to be a we're one big happy family type of deal. Doesn't need to be that at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's people who stick to their principles and people who let stuff get to their head. I don't know. I will tell you, when I first started getting followers, like when I first was like, people were, I don't know, becoming fans of me in quotes, it was starting to get to my head to some extent, right? And the reality is,
Well,
it's
yeah.
just what?
I was gonna say it's very easy to. I
Yeah,
mean, I wouldn't be surprised if most of the guys, especially anytime you hit like 5K or over.
right. And we've talked about a few people who are right around my follower count that will literally use their follower count as some kind of judge for who's like, um, grown more below the waist, I suppose, right?
I think the term we're looking for is biggest dickus.
Yes, well, that would be the Latin.
I see.
Latin.
I
I
see.
didn't want to be
Perhaps
pretentious, as you know.
we're for the common people.
Right.
Um, but I guess I mean, and just to kind of like tie it to live blade versus trainers, if you decide that you don't really care about what people are going to think and you're just doing it just to do it, then you know what? It's probably your best bet to avoid those groups that are going to have those dead set rules and find spaces like Instagram or like our battle song, even though I wouldn't recommend it, but you could go there if you really want and post there. Do your own thing. Maybe you could just post YouTube videos. Um, that might be a better way to approach it. And because I mean the only problem that I've seen is when people try to make it kumbaya, we're gonna sing around the campfire. And if you try to force upon it's almost the equivalent, I imagine, and this is maybe a bit exaggerated, but it's kind of like there's a dinner party, there's a whole group of people there, they're all living together, and they're like, oh, you can come on in if you want, join us for dinner. And then you join them, and it's like a nice barbecue, and you're like, oh well, actually I have some vegan options that I really think I would prefer to have everyone eat instead. Can we do that? And everyone there's like, no, like we eat this is a barbecue, like get that shit out of here. It's like why it's that whole
No
thing
soy allowed.
but it's like you're trying to go. I mean, there's a bit of soy going on in the community, but
Right.
you're going into someone's basically their home in a sense, and then saying, "Well, change for me," and it's like, no, get your kale out of here, back the way
Yeah,
you
it's
came.
narcissism.
The narcissism saying, "Get out of here."
No, no, you fucking idiot.
Oh, I was like,
Fucking
huh?
KYS, idiot. Uh, no,
Reported.
YouTube ban him. It's the people who will sit there and actually try to force you to do it the way that they think is right when they are guests to some extent, right? Like, that's, in my opinion, that's like narcissism, you know?
I think it's a bit, and it might be because I don't know if it's because some of these people coming from like these trainer friendly groups come over and they're like, oh, well, this other group's going to be the same way. I don't know if there's like a branding issue, like, hey, no, like, don't come here. Like, if that's what you think, you're not going to have a good time. I don't know if that might be an issue. But yeah, I've seen it happen, and I've even seen it happen Reddit. Like, okay, so I've kind of been bashing on people with trainers coming over to like some of these Facebook groups. Well, on the opposite side of it, you have people from the kind of live blade groups going over to Reddit and basically causing a ruckus just for the sake of it. So I mean, to me, there's no changing our Balisong. You would need to fumigate it. You would need to.
That's fucked up.
You would need an expert exterminator to clear that group of trainers. I don't know if there's like a subreddit of live blade Balisongs, but I just know that off rip that group. I mean, you're not changing the perspective easily. And knowing that, I've seen live blade flippers go over there and try to plead their case and get downvoted into oblivion. They try to make their case of, oh, trainer content's lame, it's stupid, why are you doing that? And nobody cares to hear what they have to say.
Well, yeah, because they're threatening kind of what they're allowing, you know?
Exactly. And so, and in one sense, I'm like, these groups can exist, but perhaps the good out there, I guess the outcome to strive for is just leave them alone. If there's a group of trainers and they're fine with trainers, go ahead. Just and you're a live blade flipper, just ignore it. Just don't even have it register on your radar. Just say, I'm not going to try and change them. Let them be. On the flip side, the trainer people need to kind of understand that live blade flippers don't want to see trainers. They don't want to see it. And so it's kind of like this setting expectations, being I don't even know if it's being respectful, just acknowledging what the standards of the groups are, just saying, hey, this group allows that, this group allows this, let me not fuck with that. Might be a good way to have both live blade flippers and trainers kind of exist in as much harmony as they can.
I don't know. I think it's a problem like culturally, so I don't know that there's a whole lot you can do. Like people who are flipping trainers want to be surrounded by people who are going to also tell them that they're just as good as the people flipping live blades. You know what I mean?
Oh, which isn't going to happen. Yeah, that's just not.
Well, it is if you just have primarily trainer flippers. You know.
Oh yeah.
And so that's why they get downvoted, is because they only want people there that are going to tell them, you know, that they're just as good as the person who's better than them.
Exactly, it's that validation aspect, and maybe that's why people come over to live blade groups, because they have some doubt in the back of their head, and then they go over and then they get blasted as expected. It's
Kill
almost
yourself,
like they know,
idiot.
but it's almost like they know it's gonna happen, and they're just like, I'm gonna change them. I'm gonna be the one to change them. It's almost like they think they're gonna have.
It's a really good clone.
It's gonna be talk no jutsu, and
Right.
they're gonna talk.
Right.
they're gonna somehow convince through some, and I see these paragraph wall of text. It's not even a paragraph, it's just a wall of text pleading their case as to why everyone should change. And like you look at a member since date, and it's like member since yesterday, September 20, was it 27th was yesterday? I'm not sure.
I
And
have
you're
no
like,
idea.
nobody cares. Like, just why this group ain't the one. It ain't the one for you. If you're looking for validation, if you want some type of validation, this group's just not going to give it to you.
Well, but that's the point. Is there? That's why you have these like separate communities.
Yeah, they do serve a purpose. They definitely do serve a purpose of making sure it's not just a Wild West. Like Instagram kind of is the Wild West part of it, where anyone can kind of get popular for any content. It could be it could be trainer content, it could be live blade. And so it kind of puts a framework around it where you can have certain expectations when you log into Instagram versus when you log into Facebook. You know what you're going to see in those groups versus what you're going to see in general on Instagram.
Right. Well, I mean, but you can't control the fact that these people are going to be doing that on Instagram. Like that's. So I don't know. I don't know that there's a solution, I suppose, to the problem that you have.
I think the groups are the solution in the long run. I think unfortunately a byproduct of battle songs getting so popular is that Instagram just will have a ton of trainers. I don't really think there's much that anyone can do about that. Yeah, I definitely have just kind of grown to accept that that's going to be a huge part of it. I mean, like, if you look at the battle song hashtag, I haven't actually. You know what? Let me just check it right now because I'm curious to see how many of those posts are going to be trainers right off up front. So I'm going to battle song, doing the hashtag. I'm going to look at the most recent posts. So far, oh, and on the third one, we already have a trainer. On the third post that's a battle song, already see a trainer. Just saw my second trainer. We have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, all, and that's out of about 30 posts. There's already, it's like a 1-to-3 ratio.
You're also going to have a younger crowd on Instagram, though.
You are going to have a younger crowd as well. But there's just not much you can do about it. It's just what's popular among the demographic. And to try and fight it on Instagram specifically is kind of going to be a losing battle. The community at large is going to decide what is going to get watched, what's going to get viewed. It's probably why some of the older guys are a bit jaded about it, because they're like, well, I was popular and cool before. No, I'm not. It's like, well, times change, old man.
Yeah, but I think that's part of the problem is like, I don't know. I don't think that people can just be expected to or that people can reasonably expect that they're always going to be the most popular. You know what I mean? I just think that's kind of stupid.
Oh, it's very stupid.
Besides me, I will always be the most popular.
I mean, in a population of,
of one. Right.
Yeah, you're a cool guy.
Yeah, when, there's nobody else to, yeah.
He was number one.
Mm-hmm. Was.
But that's another kind of part of it where I think there's like a power grapple going on in some way, where some of the guys who were top dog want to make sure they stay top dog, and sometimes they make decisions that are counterintuitive to the community itself. I've seen that go on.
Well, yeah, but that is exactly the problem with groups. It's people who want to maintain their position, and so they will do whatever is necessary to stop other people from surpassing them. And if they have the position of admin, that's a problem.
So it sounds a bit like death by car crash. That
I'm not sure. What do you mean?
It's suicided then.
Well, I mean, I guess, yeah. Like the reason I think why you have so many problems with this like culty stuff is there are people who want to be considered cool, and they don't want anybody to be better than them. And so they will kind of, I don't know, bully people and just be arrogant assholes. I don't know.
There's a bit of persecution, I would say. I mean, it doesn't. I will say it does not take much to get absolutely flayed alive in some of these groups. You can be the subject of mockery very quickly.
Yeah, and
Even
that's what I'm not interested in.
yeah, and I don't think that's a thing to necessarily praise. I think it has its moments of that was actually kind of funny. But from a healthy group standpoint, you don't want that to be kind of the main focus. You do want there to be some goal, some growth, and not just have it be about ridiculing people.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I have I've been given shit plenty, right? And I'm saying this as squiggle scales, not as like on my personal account, which I've also been given shit. But the funny thing is, actually, I have people who will give me shit on my personal account when I say the same things that I would say on my business account, and then they'll suck up to me on my business account. They have no idea that I'm aware of how they treat other people.
Yeah, which is an interesting point where I've definitely had situations on like because I in the Facebook groups I'm not 50 Blades of Gray, I'm just Eric. So when you strip away that kind of immediate recognition, sometimes the feelings and the attitudes become a bit different in terms of what people will think of you and what they'll say in response to you. Um,
The way I see
and
it, though, is if I go and if I let's just say hypothetically that I go as squiggle scales to some group, right? And I post something and I'm ridiculed and mocked and called an idiot or whatever. And 3 months later or 6 months later, I now have a bunch more followers or something, and a bunch of other people like my stuff or something, right? And then I go, like, if I were to go back there and say the exact same thing and suddenly they love me, I'm not interested, right? Nothing changed. You just suddenly want me in your group, right? That's the problem I have, and that's what I've seen.
it's interesting. I
So,
haven't really seen it from a perspective, and maybe it happens, and I'm just not privy to it because I don't really care as much. But typically, I haven't seen there be like outreaches for people to be joining a particular group. There's one group where that has happened, but it's a very small group. I mean, you're looking at like no more than like 200 people. Um, the other groups, like the other Battle Song groups, I don't think they're like really recruiting people. It kind of sounds like that sounds like recruiting to me, and I
no,
don't
I
think
just
that's
mean if I go to a group, if I post something on, say, Reddit or something, and I'm called an idiot and I'm told that my idea is shit, and then all of a sudden, like 6 months later, it's proven that my idea is fucking good or something, um, and all of a sudden people like it there, and I have people wanting me to post there. It's like, why? I'm not. I didn't do anything differently. You've just decided, and I made that example up, right? But like, that's what's happened to me is I have people who want me to post on like Facebook and stuff. I have no idea if the admins would have a different position now, but if they did, I would doubly not want to be on there because it would be disingenuous. It'd be obvious that there is abuse from them, right? Because they're making decisions based on who my name is, not what the content is. So, I don't know.
I don't know. That's and I guess so much of the struggle for me is because like I don't join any of the Facebook groups as 50 Blades of Gray. Like I have my 50 Blades of Gray Facebook page, but I don't. It's not like I have a separate account where I'm joining as 50 Blades of Gray. Now, I don't know if Eric carries any weight. Maybe now in some of the groups because they just recognize, oh, that's now we know that's 50 Blades
It's
of
got the
Gray.
same
Oh,
stupid fucking profile picture.
now we understand who that is. I don't know if that's happened, but I don't know. I didn't feel, but then again, I was kind of already aware of what the in crowd's feelings were in terms of like ballad songs. It's not like It's not like I was coming from a innocent perspective where I have no idea what these people are going to feel. I was kind of like, they're probably going to feel this way. They're not going to want to see this if like.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think that I feel like now I'm not a very social person, but I feel like you spend a lot more time, I guess, quote, socializing in different, whether it's Battlesong related stuff or other stuff, right? But in different groups, and I don't. And so I kind of feel like you're like, oh well, yeah, it's great, I just and I'm just saying from my perspective, and I'm sure that there are plenty of other people like me, right? There's a very obvious in crowd and out crowd, and the delineation between those two groups is not based on skill or something. It's based on who's a cool kid and who isn't. You have to suck up to people to be, I don't know. And I'm not saying all the time, right? But like, that's what seems to happen. And so that's why I don't know that there's really an effective way to say, like, live blades only and have this group where you have these rules, unless you have somebody who's an admin who is going to make principled decisions about whether or not somebody's flipping doll or flipping a trainer and getting rid of them. But if they're starting to make decisions on other things, right, whether somebody's popular, then it destroys the point of it, because then just because somebody's popular doesn't mean that they're flipping sharp blades, like somebody whose name starts with a J, right? So I don't know.
Now, what's interesting about that, and actually, that there's a few flippers, and I don't know how to do this without really exposing myself here.
Just go for it, dude.
Well, there's a few flippers who are popular on Instagram who are known for doing some pretty crazy tricks, allegedly on live blades. Maybe they're partially sharp. I have suspicions about how sharp they are, but I'll say they might be butter knife sharp, just to be generous.
It's at least a knife.
You could cut butter with it.
Right.
Now,
if it's hot enough.
And maybe the serrations from all the times it's been
Right.
dropped will allow you to cut through bread. I don't know. Those flippers don't really appear in these groups' social circles at all. I've never really seen them engage in a meaningful way. I haven't really seen them post content regularly in those types of groups. They're very much their own identity on like Instagram. So I'm trying to like really figure out how I was going to tie that together, but I don't think that popularity is the only, because like those people, they are popular. So the people I'm talking about are popular. Like Squiggles and I know exactly the group I'm referring, or I think we're on the same. I know we're on the same page with one individual, and we likely are
the
on
J
the same
one.
Page. Yeah, we're likely on the same page with some of the associated ones.
Right.
It's not as though those people are like being sought out to join the group. Maybe at some point, I don't know. I might have been left out of certain conversations, but I don't think they've ever been like hard pushed to be part of these groups, and I don't even think they'd want to be part of these groups just because of that whole issue of are you actually flipping live? Like, you look like you're flipping live blades, but are you?
I don't know that I would agree that would stop people, because at least one of these people is narcissistic as fuck, right? These people think that like they aren't like, oh, I don't want to join this group because they might find out that I'm flipping dull. Like, it's just a foregone conclusion to them that everybody thinks that they're flipping sharp, and anybody who says otherwise is not going to be taken seriously. That's how these people think, in my opinion. And so I don't know that would. I'm not saying that you're wrong about whether or not they're joining these groups. I'm just saying I don't know that that's the motivation.
I mean, I've called out a few people in some of these groups.
Right, but I'm not saying whether or not you'd call them out. I'm saying whether or not they think they'd be called out. Because that would
Oh,
be whether or not they join the group. Because if they don't think they're going to get called out, then why would they give a shit if you called somebody else out?
yeah. So there's that whole bluffing thing, and then so part of the issue, and this, I think this is really where it becomes problematic, and it does give some validity to your point. If someone joins one of these groups and they already have a name associated with them, where like people already know who they are, um, people who are smaller or less well known are going to be way less likely to try and call them out on that video or them actually flipping live blades. Um, so sorry, we were doing a little back and forth comment there.
Oh, Christ.
So let me try and kind of frame this while you take your leave of absence. So I guess while he's away, the way I'm trying to explain this is people with a smaller reputation in like the Facebook groups aren't really going to want to call out someone who's joining who has a big reputation, because if they do so, they might just be able, that the person with the bigger reputation might be able to just flay them on the spot and say, wow, I can't believe you're calling me out. This is silly. This is dumb. I'm not even going to entertain this. And you might get other people to kind of join in on that hazing and say, well, yeah, why would you call this person out? We know them. He's always flipped live blades. And it could very quickly end up in this situation where the person who's in the right, it doesn't even matter that they're right. They're just going to be burned at the stake. Oh, we have Powerhouse in the chat. All right, all right. Yeah, career suicide is indeed what that would be. It's not a great look. So one of the things that these groups rely on is for the people who kind of are at the top making admin decisions to kind of have some integrity, and do their part to not put the fakers into positions of influence. So definitely not making them an admin is a big one. In doing so, you basically undermine the goal of the group. So I would say every now and then, probably someone's in the group posting content that is likely not live blade content. That does happen. But at least from an admin perspective, I don't think anyone who's actually flipping dull blades has infiltrated to that level.
Were you indoctrinating people that I was wrong while I was gone and unable to defend myself?
Of course.
Sorry, guys. 50 Blades of Gray informed me via DM that I was full of shit, so I had to go take care of that. But don't worry, I washed my hands, okay?
Oh, okay. All right.
Yep.
Doing your part to
Yeah,
not spread the coof, because we can't say
the Rona.
Well, yeah, okay. We might the algorithm's just gonna doo on us.
The Rhone.
Yeah, no, you cannot use any form of
Coronavirus COVID-19.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay. We made it this far, boys.
No, we're not talking about James.
I think James does do live blades.
Who is James?
I think his full username is James Hill.
I don't even know who that is.
I have, and if James ever watches this, sorry, James, but I have looked at his videos more closely, because for a little while I was pretty suspicious about they were sus, some of those videos. I don't know.
I don't want you to get yelled at, so let me go ahead and finish this for you. So it looks like he's flipping dull. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying that's 50 Blades of Gray's opinion. 50 Blades of Gray thinks he's flipping live.
I've had suspicions in the past. I'll have to watch some new videos to see if anything has changed. I think, because I have seen every now and then, because I mean, I really do kind of criticize people pretty harsh. I have seen some videos where, in fact, he is bleeding. So I don't know. I could rewatch some videos, take a look at what James is doing currently. Again, James, if you watch it, it's just how it is. I criticize everyone, so
He especially criticizes me, don't worry. He accuses
yeah.
me of using dull tools all the time.
Yeah, no, that's why I said James Hill. That's the exact person I was referring to.
No, I know. I was talking. I was.
My bad. I'm going back and forth between listening to you and listening to the chat.
Oh, it's fine. Most people don't listen to me, and I would recommend against it. Like it's bad for people's psychological well-being, and I'm also probably wrong. So,
But I guess. Oh, let me respond to be interesting. So I think even if I'm just putting it in the chat, not to go too full off the record here, but it would be quite interesting. It would be quite interesting to get some perspectives that aren't fully like your friend who offered that medical kind of
Chase.
perspective. Yeah, Chase. I thought yeah, no, he's not. Is he an EMT in the army, or is
He was a
he
medic in the army, and
medic in the army?
he has his EMT or whatever, but he's currently working on. He's in the fire academy, so.
Okay, yeah. So it's interesting to get those other perspectives, and so I'm throwing out an additional line for the powerhouse username in the chat. It'd be kind of interesting to get some of his takes on some things. Now,
as long as he agrees with me, otherwise we might have to ban him.
this is about to be a hostile takeover. We're about to have a new co-host.
Oh my god. Sorry.
So back to the kind of ins and outs of these groups and kind of criticizing flippers. I don't think any of the groups have been infiltrated. Well, there's one group. I do think BFBK. I don't know if you know which group is BFBK, but those who are familiar with the groups know that is the more lenient of the two. There's BFBK and there's BBK. BBK is the more.
You sure it's not BBC? They make
Siri,
similar sounds, K and C.
Siri, clear my search history.
Alexa, shut the fuck up.
So, I think BFBK is a bit more lenient towards turning a blind eye to dull blade flipping.
That's the Facebook group, right?
Yeah, that's the Facebook group. The BBK Facebook group, people have been called out before, and it's gotten pretty uncomfortable sometimes. So I don't think the admins there are too interested in seeing people try to fake their way to influence. And the problem is, if it did get to that level, you would have people say, "This is ridiculous. I'm not going to support this anymore. I'm going to just join a new group, or even partake in forming a new group where we're not entertaining this fuckery. I don't want to see trainers. I don't want to see people pretending to do live blade flipping when in reality it's dull." And so the clear breakaway there is people are just going to leave the group and form that new cool kids club, and that's just going to be the cycle of how it goes.
Right. Sorry, I'm bullying somebody. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of think the problem that you're gonna have, and I was listening, is people like, you know, you say you wouldn't support these groups or whatever, but you don't always notice when it's a slow change, right? And you're obviously not the one who's going to be on the receiving end of BS, right? Once you're already kind of part of the in-group.
That's a bit true, and I guess the only unfortunate thing is because of how small the Balisong community is, you can kind of get labeled pretty pretty quickly. There are certain people who, in my mind, will never be redeemable unless
I don't know why you phrased it that way. Well, that's funny as fuck.
some serious acknowledgments of wrongdoing were kind of put out there, and even then, I don't think they'd ever truly be. I'm just gonna name names. I don't really care at this point. I think people are well aware of the names of where I'm going with this. So, perfect example of someone who's not ever really gonna be accepted into the end group. Maybe it would probably take years down the line. Is Garrett? I am not a real boy.
Mm-hmm.
This dude would just there'd be no risk. It'd kind of be like if I if I had to kind of give an analogy, it'd kind of be like the movie 300, where there was that semi-deformed, I guess, technical Spartan, and they're like, "No, we don't even want you to fight. Like, we don't even care if you're on board with the Spartan ideals. Like, just GTFO."
Right.
It's that level of disrespect.
Yeah, I'm. I feel like he was kind of never really in the in group, in like what you would consider the in group. I think he's popular and will remain popular in like on Reddit. You know, now unless I'm like unaware of something that happened, I think he's gonna stay popular there. And it's like that's fine.
Well, yeah, in that group he'll do fine, but in like the Live Blade group, like I'm kind of like thinking of the Cool Kids Live Blade group. Yeah, he just no, it's not happening. He did trainers, he dulled blades.
Sometimes
He
unintentionally.
oh no.
Sorry.
So someone like him, it's just not happening. It would take some serious time to go by, and for him to make some pretty big changes in like the products he wants to produce and the ideals he wants to support, for that ever to even be on the discussion board.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I think it's just a matter of like, it's kind of like rebuilding trust, really. You know,
Yeah. So,
someone's asking about flipping, tripping.
okay. So Yvonne says, flipping tripping. She's like the only well-known. Wrong. She is not the only
Squiggle
well-known.
Scales is a very well-known girl.
He's going through a bit of a transition, if we
Transition.
will. Now,
Yeah.
no, Flippin' Trippin' isn't the only one. There's a female. I don't know what her Instagram username might be the same as her actual name, but Cole. She's been around for quite a while. She's one of the well-known ones.
Is she like the 15-year-old?
No, God, no. Well, Flippin' Trippin', I don't know how old she is. Cole is definitely not
No,
15.
I know who Flippin' Trippin' is, but there was this girl that was like 15 or something, and yeah, there were some people that followed that kind of got weird.
No, Cole is like 20. Oh
Okay.
God, she's at least 22, I think. She's like kind of in the in group. She's one of the ones in the in group, truthfully.
Is Flippin'
Um,
Trippin'? I know who Flippin' Trippin' is, but
no, Flippin' Trippin' doesn't really partake in any of the groups. At least from what I've seen. Maybe every now and then she does, but it's mainly Instagram from what I've seen.
Flippin' Trippin', unless I'm wrong, um, Flippin' Trippin' seems to have gotten popular legitimately. Other girls and women in the community have gotten popular because of what they wear while they flip.
Yep.
And so I actually remember Flippin' Trippin' as an example of somebody who's not like that. That's why I remember her. So
Oh gosh, there was one other girl. I don't know if she was from the Philippines. And oh god, it kills me because I can't remember her username. But part of the reason why I can't remember her username is because she stopped posting. She was actually getting pretty good, and then she just kind of fell off a cliff. I don't know if it was like Marie. I don't know if that was her name, but there's been a number of female flippers before Flippin' Trippin', and there's some trying now um, to kind of establish. You can tell which ones are doing it for like, I think, oh gosh, there's this other girl, and I'm not sure if she's from the Philippines as well. I don't know if she calls herself Bell Song Brat. I don't know if that's her username. It
They're
might
not
be.
sending their best. Sorry, go on.
No, but the username could use some work.
Okay.
Sorry if this person is listening to this, my bad. Your username could use
Yeah,
some
his
work.
bad, not my bad.
But I think she also tries to post pretty legitimate content. I mean, there are females who really are trying to produce worthwhile content that isn't just look at my bosom.
Right. Yeah,
Are like,
dude, it's like I don't remember who it was, but there was this one woman who any video I ever saw where she was in, it's like you would have like side boob but with bra, if that makes sense, in every fucking video. And it's like, Jesus, man. I just, to me, that's so, it's disingenuous because the same people are the ones who go on and bitch about being objectified.
oh yeah, that's a whole nother. And there's actually there's one female that I've purposely left out of this conversation because it kind of fits into that category. But one username, and this just to kind of tie into other female flippers who have come before Flippin' Trippin'. I think Rixfern is her username. She doesn't flip as much, kind of in the collector category, but it's just to kind of really elaborate on the fact that there are female flippers out here who are producing content that isn't just look at me, aren't I pretty?
I like the question marks I just got.
Side boob with a bra.
Does that not make sense? Do you not know what I'm talking about?
I don't know what user you're talking about.
No, I know, but do you know like the what I mean by that?
Oh, I know what I know what those type of people are going for.
Right. Yeah.
Now, and this user, I don't know if the one that has kind of been in the elephant in the room category right now.
No fat shaming.
I haven't fat shamed anyone yet.
Well, you just said the elephant in the room.
I have not fat shamed anyone yet.
All right, go on.
No, I don't think I'm gonna be fat shaming in this segment at all. But
damn.
Yeah, it's tragic. So probably the most recognizable female flipper, and she kind of capitalized on it, is the We Are Artsy, although I think she just goes by Artsy now. Now
doesn't even want to put the extra words in there.
Well, I think the other girl that was kind of partaking in the channel just stopped being interested in battle songs. I think that's kind of how that went. I don't really care to know. I imagine that's how it went since she never shows up in videos.
Powerhouse has. I'm just saying this because I think he's bringing up an interesting point. He says, "Stay away from the thick people, or we will have issues. Thick people are best people." So I would say I think he's got a point, right? Like fat shaming. If you fat shame, you're perpetuating the capitalist white supremacist patriarchy, and I feel like that needs to be said. I don't
know how to say this without being mean, but
okay.
big can be beautiful, just not to me. So there's someone out there for everyone.
You're a fan of when there's a BC after that,
Just know that it's not me who is gonna be in your corner. Sorry.
You don't like big, beautiful BC? I feel like that's what you like.
No, okay. Can't say I do. Okay. So kind of to tie back the point about the female flippers, and We Are Artsy. I feel like at first it's gotten better. But really at first she was just really going off the look at me, I'm a girl, battle songs. Like that was her whole fucking deal. And
there's no way it got less like that. People generally turn into that because they're sick of producing actual content.
I mean, the only saving grace that I've seen from her lately is some of her videos that were straight garbage, and I'm talking straight garbage. And she knows they were garbage too if she ever listens to this.
You mean only all of them?
There was a lot of garbage.
Okay. So only all of them.
A lot of garbage. Some of those videos where she had blatantly done things wrong, she has redone, and has made corrections to those videos where you can watch it and say, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's more or less what you're trying to go for in that video. That's probably good advice." Um, does that mean that every video she produces now that I'm like, "Oh, very good job"? No, 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 no. But at least she's made some attempts to kind of correct some of those misinforming videos of the past. But boy, has it taken quite a while for that to occur.
I mean, honestly, dude, like, I, I don't know, man. I feel like people who, I don't know, never mind. I don't want to start a whole argument on it, but I think that there are many vain people in the community, especially this community.
Oh, for sure. And one big problem that that We Are Artsy specifically suffered from in the beginning was there was a lot of simping going on.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and the problem is when you have hostile people like myself, and like others who are gonna be like, "You suck. That was terrible." It's very hard to hear that when the majority of other people commenting on the videos are like, "Beautiful, great job.
Oh my
I'd
god,
love."
your flips are like so good.
No, it's not even like that. It's like,
Well,
I'd
you
love
can't
to.
really do that in like an Instagram comment, to be fair.
I- I'd love to meet you. You're so pretty. You're so good.
Oh, dude,
You're
those
so good at
Jesus,
flipping
that
ballots.
that fucking makes me like, ugh. Those people are fucking weird, man. Like that, there's, ugh. You would like those people while they sit there and try to like act like they're like the nice guys. Jesus, man, you would not want to be stuck with one of those guys in a fucking alley. Holy shit.
It's really bad, but that's kind of who she marketed her videos to. And I kind of get like, when I see some like dude in some of these battle song chats say, "Oh, I learned some things from We Are Artsy." I'm like, why are you watching when there's like 20-year-old guys? There are 30-year-old guys doing videos on battle songs.
Yeah, that's
Why
like
are
a
you
red
watching?
flag. You know what I mean?
I'm like, why are you watching the girl that looks like she's fucking 16, bro? Not no, okay. You can watch her videos and be like, "Oh, that was fucking good or bad." But they're like, "I learned so much from her." I'm like, "What exactly did you learn?"
Well,
Um,
first, I think that double A is okay. Sorry.
it's pretty bad. And I'm actually going to respond to Powerhouse here.
Wow. Unbelievable. So you're just literally not talking to me?
Yeah, pretty much.
Chris
um,
Hansen, save me.
so I was just saying we need to get a class. I wonder how much it would cost to get him on here for like 30 minutes.
I don't, dude. He's the most pretentious fuck ever. Like, if you watch
He's
anything else that has like involves him, he's just, ugh. And he got arrested, by the way. You know that, right?
For what?
Wrote a check that bounced, and he kept writing bouncing checks to this company. You see
That's
his
actually pretty funny.
mugshot.
That's pretty funny.
No, dude, he's fucking. Dude, he talks like reporters do. He's like, "I'm out here." He's like, you know what I mean? Like, you know how people talk like that?
You know what kills me? Like, I know way more than I should about all this because I watched the Onion takedown.
Wait, what happened?
I don't know if you're familiar with the Onion that
Like
I'm
the
referring
news
to here.
thing?
No, like the person who is just. uh, I don't know how he's stayed on YouTube for as long as he has. Truthfully, the Onision character.
Oh, yeah. Didn't he have some forum where he was like commenting, like rating, like
Dude,
preteens that were like fans of his?
all I'm gonna say about that situation is YouTube literally removed Leafy is here off the platform. Now, I know he did some semi-bullying videos, but At no point was he doing something perverted like that, and yet his account was just straight yeeted out of here. Somehow Onision's account has been able to remain,
Well, there's
and
not really widespread knowledge of it. That's the thing.
I, I mean,
It's not that widespread.
with
Go
it,
around and ask people. Ask them if they're familiar with it. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. Like nobody else has ever mentioned that to me, other than I watched like a legal analysis of some filings or something.
maybe, and maybe it's because I've been around for. I mean, I've been watching YouTube videos for probably like nearly 10, 11 years now.
Yeah, and you are kind of a no lifer, so
Yeah, so maybe, and I at one point was, and it kills me to say because it's cringy as fuck. At one point, I was like, "Oh, I'm a Banana Song's actually kind of entertaining."
ah.
Look, man, we want me to judge like
Was this please tell me this was before YouTube tried to introduce that video response thing? You know what I'm talking about?
video response thing.
YouTube they tried this feature where like you could create a video response to somebody else's video and it would appear below the description among other video responses.
I don't remember that at all.
You don't? Dude, you're probably like way younger than me.
No, no, we've been. Oh no, what? No, I'm older than you are.
Nope.
I'm pretty.
Nope.
No,
Nope.
this is ridiculous.
Nope.
I'm a boomer compared to you.
Nope.
So
You're upperclassman, I'm lowerclassman. I get shoved into the lockers.
yeah, careful. This might get really like 1970s high school drama.
You saying I might get my ass kicked in front of 4 people?
we might call you nerd and smash your books
Yeah, dude.
onto the ground.
It's better than my face.
You nerd.
Okay, you know what, dude? I'm gonna go talk to the principal.
Anyways, no, it's that whole. I don't know. To me, the Onision situation represents some very disturbing things about what YouTube allows to go on versus what it doesn't want to go on. I mean, we've talked about it before, but to be fully clear for anyone wondering, for the 4 people that are watching right now, and for anyone that watches this later,
4 people who watch it later.
Yeah. YouTube does deprioritize knife content. It might not seem like it up front, but they do. They, for whatever reason, don't deprioritize content like, I don't know, rating questionably underage children on bodies and.
Oh, dude, I just thought of a way that we could boost our channel.
Oh.
Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry.
No, it's one of those things, and it kind of ties back to, you wonder how someone like a We Are Artsy gets popular right away, even though she really wasn't producing good content.
How do you wonder that? It's obvious.
I'm saying somebody could wonder how that could happen. They could question how, if she's producing terrible content, how could she possibly have done so well? And it's,
yeah, I mean,
it gets creepy. It gets creepy. It really does. But it ties back into, I mean, they were letting that content go on over on Onision's channel. I mean, like, he's like I think at the time he was like a 30-year-old dude live streaming, or maybe not live streaming, but posting regular content with like a 17-year-old girl, and you're kind of like, is this normal?
Wasn't there some shit that had to do something with like a hotel room and like physical abuse or something? There was something like that, right? Or am I mixing this up with someone else?
No, there was allegations around that, and I'm pretty sure the whole thing is I think he basically admitted that the things occurred, but because of the fact that it was an estate that allowed a 16-year-old to consent, technically it couldn't really be pursued further.
Oh, I meant like physical, like hitting, not like sex.
Oh,
And if he wasn't from that state, then it would absolutely be illegal. You can't travel across state lines for the purposes of having sex with a minor.
wonder if then I wonder whatever came of that then, because that I'm pretty sure that like
Was
was
he
a
out of
thing.
state?
No, I think it was she came to his state.
I don't know if that's legal. That probably is. I have no idea.
It's sketchy. All I know is it's sketchy. But and what to kind of really wrap it, because this can kind of get off the rails pretty quickly. But to wrap it all together, YouTube never did anything about that user really ever.
Can you talk a little bit slower? I feel like I missed a few words there, idiot. Sorry, go
No, you
on.
listen to your bullshit. They never really did anything about it, and so I think I don't know. I have a funny feeling that a lot of YouTube users kind of creep on uh, underage females in general. And so
But do those
that's
people even make content?
what the people that creep.
No, like the underage, like what content do they create? Unless I'm just
Well, I'm saying like if I had to make a best guess when that We Are Artsy girl was starting her content, she had to be under 18. There was no way she was 18.
I have no idea. Like I don't even know what she looks like. I've never watched one of the videos. Maybe I should.
It's terrible. I mean, some of her videos have actually. I'm like, well, okay, you did the trick correct. Thank
Oh
you
hey,
for
Shiv
actually
Shack
making
is
that correction.
live.
Shiv Shack is what?
Shiv Shack is live right now.
I thought we were aware of that.
Um, I don't know. Yeah, she looks like she's probably in college now.
Now
Now,
she does, yeah.
yeah.
But prior to that, um, no. Well, your question of like, so she's someone who's like kind of like, okay, whatever. That's not nearly as big of a deal as how nefarious this can get. But I mean, think of like these. Actually, I don't know what YouTube's full policy is on children, but I don't know. I would imagine that you could have like toy unboxing videos would probably be one where I imagine it gets fucking creepy.
Is that even a thing?
I know there was
Do
some.
kids make content where they're unboxing toys?
I don't think it's. I think it's more like the parents exploit their kids and put it
Oh, that sounds
online.
fun. That's a good way to make
Yeah,
money.
yeah.
I got to get some of those.
Well, because there was this whole scandal. Well, like every now and then you'll read about like, oh, a young teenage star or makes millions off of YouTube or makes millions off of some social media website like
Yeah,
TikTok.
one like that. Who's that fucking Cash Me Outside? How about that?
Oh
She
God.
built like a music career on that.
Well, they're even more kind of disturbing. So hers wasn't too bad. I mean, she kind of just played up some dumb stereotype. But there was some girl from my state in Connecticut. Um, Please don't track me down and kill me. But she was posting basically dancing videos on TikTok, and I mean, from what I read, she basically got popular before. I think she was under the age of 16 at the time when she was getting like really popular. And so I'm like, who is consuming this content? Can somebody please explain who is watching this? Why is a 15-year-old girl dancing to questionable music getting millions of views? And why? It just, man, when you start to look into it, some of these social media websites, and I know we've kind of gone down a dark road here. We were on the cobblestone path, and we're like, hey, those dead trees for the next mile look pretty good. Um, so I'm aware we're quite down a dark path here, but when you really look into what kind of gets prioritized by the social media companies and the content that gets consumed and the users that are consuming it, you start to raise some questions.
Right. I mean, I don't know. I think that they care about making money, I suppose, and I think they probably think that in the long run that they're going to lose money by like if they continue to allow certain people on.
Yeah.
Someone just asked me what's the topic at the moment. How would you respond to that?
We are
talking about kids.
We are taking the Grim Reaper's carriage to No Fun Town.
Yeah, we're talking about Onision. And the reason that came up is because we're talking about YouTube algorithm and knife content being deranked, essentially. And so the basically 50 Blades of Grey was whining and bitching about, he was talking about how knife content gets deranked when this other bullshit gets boosted, or at least even just allowed.
I'm like, Eric, be strong for mother. Be strong for mother.
Right.
Yeah, it really is something I think about, just because, I mean, obviously our content is affected by the algorithm in a negative way. And so when you start to look into, well, what is positively, like, what will YouTube prioritize? You're like, oh God, I don't think I want to be a part of that.
Right.
I don't think that's the road that I want to go down.
To be fair, I mean, I would like to make some money, so.
Hey, I'd like to do it a different way.
Oh wait, you mean legally? Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. So I guess that relates to trainers how.
Well. Let me just actually
go ahead and tie this all back in for me.
I don't know if I want to make that jump, because it's way too far blown of a jump for me to make. I think what I'd prefer to do, because you could go really, really, really dark here and be like, you know what? Why are trainers so popular? Well, it's a younger demographic. Who's watching the younger demographic? Well, we just talked about it.
Right.
I don't think I want to go that far. I'm gonna put the tinfoil hat down.
Well, before we end, Head That's Foony asked, what are your guys' opinions on flipping groups such as Wizards Only, Lizard Gang, Midnight Crew, and all that stuff? First off, Lizard Gang, I thought that was that stupid fucking, quote, hacker group of kids that would DDoS people.
Full disclosure, I'm not sure. I know who Wizards Only is. I don't know who Lizard Gang is.
Lizard Gang just sounds like a fucking gay name. I'm sorry, but
it's... I don't think I'd say that name with confidence. And again, sorry.
And not in public, for sure.
Sorry if anyone from that group is listening. I would implore you to reconsider your name.
Dude, all names are equal. Some are just more equal than others.
Yeah, that sounds so bad. I know who Midnight Crew is, but I feel like they're more of a I don't know, CCP spy group than anything. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah, there's like a little Made in China sticker on all their fucking videos.
Out of the three, I would say that Wizards Only is probably the one that I would acknowledge.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk about the other ones. But yeah, anyway, any other topics you want to go over? Because I'm getting kind of tired.
No, I think we're good here. I guess just to close on that, groups will kind of come and go. I'm interested to see if any of those groups stick around for more than an additional year. Typically, their lifespan is like 1 to 2 years, so it'll be interesting to see if any of those do go on beyond that.
Shiv Shack should create a group. Only cool kids allowed.
Let's not curse. Let's not curse ourselves like that.
I'm sorry. You're right. All right, cool. Well, I think that's it for the stream. I think we've determined that I'm right and 50 Blades of Grey is wrong. So yeah, we can
like the video for Live Blades, downvote for trainers.
All right, like the video for trainers, downvote for Live Blades.
Perfect.
Cool. Alrighty.
Perfectly balanced.
Later, people.